guys, so today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about why I love to read as much as I do and eventually why I started this channel in the first place. So why I love to read. Well, when I was a kid, I used to read a lot. I always had a Dr. Seuss book in my hand or another children's book, but I think from what I can remember, I mostly just looked at the pictures and I liked some of the funny words, so I would read. I learned to read from a pretty young age. I think I was 3 or 4 whenever I learned to read, and I felt like I was always at my bookshelf looking at books. I remember in elementary school, I used to read a lot of like really thin books. I remember there was one series, I think the books were called Henry and Mudge. It was like about a boy and his dog or something. I really don't remember. I remember reading a lot of those in my elementary school library. I don't think I really fell in love with reading though until I started reading the Harry Potter books. I was 7 whenever I first picked up the Sorcerer's Stone, and it was after I'd taken a test in 2nd grade. And I picked it up and I read like the first couple of chapters, and then I remember going home and telling my mom about it. And for my next birthday, which I think was a couple of weeks after that or so, I got the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. And so that kind of started a tradition that my mom and I did where we would read the books aloud to each other. I didn't start reading aloud with her so much until I was a bit older, but even up until the 7th book came out, I was 13 when it came out, but we still read it together because that's the way we'd always done it. And not only was that a special way to bond for me and my mom, but I think that's one of the reasons why the books are so important to me, is because I have all those memories associated with reading them for the first time. And even today, if I get stressed out or sad or something like that, I can go pick up a Harry Potter book and start reading and I instantly feel better. Going back and reading those books kind of feels like home to me, which is great when you're a college student, and it's kind of hard to have a sense of home because you're in that transition period in your life where you're moving around and you kind of lose a sense of home. So that's kind of my sense of home are the Harry Potter books. But anyway, because I started really falling in love with reading, I started also reading the American Girl books. That's about a couple of years after that I really got into those. American Girl is a doll company. They make these 18-inch dolls and a lot of other different kinds of dolls for young girls. And I loved American Girl when I was a kid. I had 2 dolls. And one of the cool things they do is they have a historical series of dolls from different periods in American history, and they write books about the characters. The stories have changed since when I was a kid, so they have different stories now than they did then. So I had one historical doll, and so I read all of her books, and then I read most of all of the other dolls' books. I think there were 8 dolls out in that series whenever I was a kid. There are more now, but I read all of those for the most part, and that really taught me a lot about history too. The authors did a really good job of portraying the history that was going on around the little girl characters. So I read all of those all the way through elementary school. Once I hit middle school, I remember they used to come out with like that list every year of all of these like YA books that won all these awards, and so when the book fair would come, I would always hit it up and buy the ones off that list that sounded interesting to me. So I was always reading a book pretty much in middle school. And in high school, that's when I started becoming super involved in a lot of things, so I didn't have as much time to read, but I remember reading a lot of series in high school. I think I read mostly series, YA series. That's when I read the Hunger Games series and then I Divergent series. And I read a lot of different series like that, along with some standalone books, but I remember focusing mostly on series back then. It wasn't really until college that I became like a super active reader. A lot of that had to do with discovering BookTube. So I didn't actually discover BookTube for a while after I discovered video blogging. But a lot of the video bloggers I already followed would start to talk about books, and then so I would start discovering other BookTube videos, and eventually I found the world of BookTube, and I decided that I wanted to join it because I like talking about books. I used to have an old video blog, and I found that a lot of my videos started just kind of turning into book videos. So I thought, well, I'm gonna make a BookTube channel and start over. And so my social media class that I'm in now, that I'm doing my blog for, which I'll leave a link to down below, gave me the perfect opportunity to start. So here I am. And that's kind of my life reading journey. I would love to know how you got started reading. I always find stories like that interesting, so leave me a comment down below and check out my blog, which is doggonbookaddict.tumblr.com, and a lot of my content will be on there for the time being. So I hope all of you are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.